Hey, what's going on, guys? So we're back, finally working on the boat. It has been about a month since I was able to really put any effort into it. Weather got cold. You saw that little video I put in last time, just to give you guys an update. So we're in the garage today, got the heat on. Going to get to the sanding here, this first coat, get it ready for the second coat today. So that's my goal. By the end of today, I want to have that second coat laid down and see where we're at, sand again, and start laying down the blue. So we're gonna get to it. We've been away long enough, so let's get to work. Okay, so as I described before, here is your part A and part B, okay? Blue is B, B for blue. Part A, the yellow. So, what I do is basically take yourself a mixing stick, okay, and take your mixing stick. I break it in half. I don't want to take from one and have it go into the other. That's, with these products, that is definitely not a good idea. Okay, so I break it in half and then I'll take an equal amount of each. You don't want to have more than the other. This will work great when it's a 1-to-1 percentage, and it's usually I eyeball it up. I don't measure it. I'm not using any measuring tools. So there's what I have for the blue. As you can see, I just made that big mistake, but here we go. I'll recover, and then we'll try to do equal by eyeballing it up on the yellow. Okay, not quite there yet, but one more scoop of that. There. So that is equal amounts of each, and we're going to basically mix it together. Now it doesn't matter, you can have everybody interact with each other now, and we're going to mix all this up and get it going. And you'll see it turn green. You can already see the green color happening. Now it is a little colder. We're about 60 degrees today, so I'm able to do this today. I wanted to be able to show you guys how I fared, because I didn't show that in any of the earlier videos. I kind of decided to do this project for you guys after I did all that. But now you're getting a little taste of what it takes to mix up some fairing and put it down. And pretty much you're on the clock once you start mixing it, because it's activating. And then once you're at that point, you have about, I want to say 30 minutes before you really start to notice that it'll tack up, it'll start getting sticky and hardening. So there it is. Now we're going to go ahead and put this where it needs to go on the boat. Okay, so now we're just going to apply it where it needs to be. And again, if you get ridges, it's not the end of the world. This stuff will sand down beautifully. And it lays down pretty good. Very easy to work with. And again, you have to remember I'm using a high build primer here. So the fact that that could also help me, some of these other little ledges that'll be left over, that primer is going to fill it in. So that is it's a big help. Hides a lot of flaws. But this is going to clean it up. It'll give it a nice clean edge around the back of the boat, which is what I'm looking for. Just get rid of all this old weathered look. Just bringing it back, making it look as new as I can. So that's kind of what we're doing here. So we're going from this to this, and as that dries, that'll sand very, very, very smooth. Okay. And I'm going to continue on. I'm going to show you how I'm going to get the splash well done now, and you'll see how that will clean up real nice. It helps to have a very nice pliable knife. Oh no, this knife's a little big. I didn't have a smaller one, so I'm working with what I got. But it's doing the job. I'm getting everything where it needs to go, filling and flattening. And then even when I have like a line from the scraper, it'll sand right out. It's so good to work with, this product. It really is. So you can see now all those pock marks are filled in. Okay, every one of them. The heavy area that I had so much trouble sanding, because it's so contoured, I couldn't get a sander to lay flat on there. I didn't want to grind it down too much. So the fairing compound is the solution, and it really does a nice job. And when I sand it up and show you the result before I lay down the second coat, you'll see it'll be flat and smooth, and the paint will just really cover it over. Okay, so I'm finished fairing out these areas that needed to be faired. These are important areas. This is the rear rigging well. This is where the bilge pump's going to be living. When this boat's sitting uncovered, that's where all the water is going to end up. Water does collect in these corners, so having it be sealed and structurally sound was important to me. So these cracks, these little crevices, they're all sealed up. This stuff's going to cure nice and hard. I'll sand it smooth, and it's going to be great. And these areas are going to be outside of the EVA foam floor that's going in this boat, as you've heard me mention a million times. Splash well came out very well. That little area there where you see the green, that was a heavily pocked area. I couldn't get that to sand smooth. So this fairing is going to do that for me. It's going to bring everything up level and make it smooth, and then the paint's going to lay down nice and smooth. So okay, so that's just a little bit of how I fared, and I pretty much did that with everything on this boat. Even the hole in the middle, which I showed you in some of the beginning videos. We stuck that part of the trailer through the hull. I had to glass it, but then after the glass I had to put some fairing over that, smoothed it out, and when I painted it you couldn't even tell. So same thing with this. These should sand out very smooth, give it a nice finish, and it'll be great. This is just a little touch up because when you lay down the first coat, it kind of emphasizes areas that you might want to address with the fairing, and I never showed how I used the fairing, so I was able to do that here. Okay, as you can see, this is where I fared. Okay, these areas were pretty lumpy, pretty coarse, so I filled them with some fairing compound, and now I just want to get that smooth, blend it all in. And then that second coat of this high build primer will just tie it all together, and then we should be good to lay down topside paint. As you can see, areas here where I got to smooth out. And again, I've said many times, this stuff sands very well, so it's going to be pretty easy for me to get this smooth, or we'll get it as smooth as possible. Okay, so we're going to get to sanding, and I'm sure you don't want to watch that. So I'll get back to you when I'm done. Okay, so here is what it looks like now that it's sanded. And I will tell you, the colored variation here makes it look a lot worse on camera than it does actually being in the boat. And I can tell you it is night and day better. And when you see the next coat of primer on there, you'll notice how much smoother that'll be. And this patch of fairing in here is definitely going to be helpful in keeping this looking smooth, especially when we put finished color down. So that was a good move right there. I'm happy with that. And now we're going to clean it up we're gonna get ready to lay down another coat of primer. It's all about the next coat now. Working our way towards color. Okay, so I've mixed up my primer, and we did it a little differently than last time. I used this epoxy primer thinner from Total Boat, and you can see that the consistency is so much different. So this should roll out a lot better, as you can see. As you look, that is what you're looking for. Now you're gonna mix this a lot, but that's okay, because you know you want your finished product to be good, and that's going to be a lot easier to work with than what I had initially. So once again, learning as we go. This was a really important add to it. So I probably added, I mean, just enough to fill the bottom of this cup up to where my finger is. You can see that. Very little, and it thinned it out to the perfect consistency that I'm looking for. It's going to be a lot easier to work with. It should roll out really nice, and it should help me work pretty consistent, so I can work myself up the boat, get across the bow, back down the other side, work the back, and not have it setting up on me as I go, because it's so thick, and it just, you know, with the thinner, it gives you a little bit more of a setup time. So we're gonna let that induct. As you can see, I've got my timer going. Okay. All right, we got 30 minutes. And that's enough time for me to get down here and wipe this boat and get the surface ready for rolling out. Okay. Okay, now in case I haven't touched on how I prep the surface of the boat, I'm just gonna go over it again. And if I have, I apologize, but pretty much this is all you need. I mean, you can get this Dewaxer surface prep, and it's great for working small areas if you don't wanna use acetone, but I've been using this acetone, Home Depot, and terry cloth towels. It's pretty much done the trick. Okay, she is all wiped down. Didn't want to film any of that. Didn't think you wanted to watch me wipe a boat down. But she's clean, she's ready. Coat 2 going on today. So, everything go at the floor today. Tomorrow we'll come back, get the floor done. And if you can't tell, I've shed a layer, because it is plenty warm in here. Perfect. So I have about another 10 minutes. I worked really fast and really good. So I'm gonna just check everything again, prep, and I'm gonna start rolling. I'm gonna show you how I roll it at first, and then I'll, you know, obviously speed through that for you, because, you know, again, you know, watch me roll out this whole boat. That's, you know, certainly not what I want to show you guys. But I will show you how it starts off, and we'll see how this thinned out primer from the start goes on a lot better than it did in the last video. So. Oh yeah, that rolls on way better. I mean, that is night and day. That I'm happy with. Sorry about the creaky door, but hey, I'm inside. It's all good. As you can see, this is covering perfectly. This is exactly what I was hoping for when I made that little adjustment by adding the thinner. And now, got it covering correctly. Given those positive results, I'm just going to go ahead and roll everything up the side and back down this side. man, I gotta tell you, that was way easier than the first time. So, like I always say, it's a learning process. But that first coat I put down, total learning experience. I did a lot of things I shouldn't have done. Well, I should have done something, which was add the thinner, and I did later on, and it saved the day for the most part. But starting off with everything mixed correctly and right, I rolled this thing out in record time. I have 0 run marks. There's no brush marks. It came out really smooth. I mean, obviously I'll have some sanding to do, but not a lot. I'm really, really happy with how it came out. And I think I've massively moved closer to putting down color on the top sides. Again, I'm not going for showboat quality here, guys. I'm restoring this boat so I could use it and take it everywhere I want to go. So naturally I want it to look the best it could be. And again, I am no expert. I don't claim to be an expert. I'm just somebody who really loves doing this. So I try and try to do the best I can. I just, you know, it's trial and error, and that's what the first coat was. It was, you know, I never used these products before, tried them out, found that I left something crucial out, thinner. And then on the second one, got it right, and it really brought this forward. So super happy with it. Way easier, just way, way easier. The Whaler Blue is going on today. Just got to do a little prep work. Like I said, it rolled out so nice with that thinner. Now, all I have to do is just kind of touch up some areas, smooth it out, make sure that when I lay down the Whaler Blue, the wet edge, that it can lay down as smooth as possible. I obviously will have to sand each and every coat I put down, but I want to give it the best surface I can possibly give it. So finally got to this part. I'm excited to see what this boat, you know, will look like with fresh blue paint inside the hull. So no sense talking about it. Let's get to it. Okay, we are done sanding. Did the whole thing by hand. I thought about using the sander, but I just thought it would be too harsh and I wouldn't be able to control it as good as I did hand sanding it. And the whole thing took about, I don't know, less than 20 minutes. I was very light with the sand. I used 220 because I didn't want to have to put a lot of pressure on it. It allowed me to just glide the 220 over the rough areas, and there wasn't, again, like I said, it rolled out pretty smooth, which allowed me to go quick. So, okay, moment has finally arrived. So here is what I'm using to paint the inside of the boat. Okay, Total Boat Wet Edge, classic Whaler Blue. I know it's only a quart. I have to order more of this. I know I'm going to need it. I started off with a quart. Again, I'm trying not to be left with a whole lot of extra material, but we're taking that as we go. But we'll start with the quart. Definitely going to get done what we need to get done today. The Special Brushing Thinner 100. I used regular thinner on the hull, it worked great, but I got this just to keep everything consistent. I know these chemicals work well with each other. They're formulated to be compatible, and I want the best quality finish I can get, so I figured staying inside the brand helps. Got my last two mixing cups here. I'll keep some of the brushing thinner in this one to dip my brush, okay? And I will be mixing this wet edge with thinner to give it a little bit more setup time. Now, what we learned with the hull was less is more with this stuff. So we don't want to roll it on heavy. We want to roll it on nice and thin. Work small areas. I can tell you it looks really smooth going on. So I'm gonna roll this area out, and then I'll do the inside of the splash well. I want to do this entire back part of the transom first. And because I thinned it, I don't want to use a lot in one area. I want to spread it as thin as I can so it doesn't run. Of course, that will mean less sanding for me down the road. And that's a good thing, because as you all know, I've been doing a lot of that with this. Okay, like that. And we're just going to continue on. Okay guys, well, here's how it came out. I am really, really happy with how this came out. Totally stoked. Came out so much better than I thought it was going to come out. It's only one coat, but it really covered well. And here is how it looked. Here she is. Very, very nice covered. It came out great. It's only one coat, but man, did it come out good. I am so pleased with the result. Here it is. It looks so much better now. I am so happy with this result. I'm glad. Took about a half a quart, so that tells me that going forward, one more quart should do. I'm anticipating about 4 coats of paint. She's still wet, so she's a little shiny and a little textured, but where it has dried, it's getting a lot smoother from the tipping. It came out amazing. Could not be happier. I am so stoked for how this is coming out. This is the phase I was so in a hurry to get to, because I wanted to just see it come together. And when you start doing topside, that's when, you're starting to get to more of the finished stuff. And I am very excited and very happy with how this came out. Now, with one coat down, the next coat will be in a few days after I let this set up in this nice warm garage. It'll dry real nice and come back, and we'll get coat 2 down. It'll really start to take even a deeper color, but seeing it look new again is what this build is all about. Again, not I'm not looking to put it in a contest, but I am super stoked and super happy with how it looks. So this video had a lot of moving parts to it. I showed you some fairing, I showed you the second primer phase, and now we got one coat of color down. So that was my goal. That was my destination with this next video. I just wanted to make, wanted to show you guys that, it's progressing and we're getting there. So I'm really happy. And now it's just about getting the second coat down, a third, probably gonna do a fourth, because I want it to look really good. Getting paint laid down in the boat obviously is an enormous step in the right direction for me, and I'm super happy with how it came out. I hope you guys like it, and I hope you've been following along. Again, stick with me, and if you haven't, subscribe. Every subscription counts. Every subscription means so much. It means that you're interested and you like what I'm doing and you're supportive, and that means a lot to me. So I'm having a ton of fun doing this and sharing it with you guys. I've met and connected with a whole bunch of people who've given me great advice and told me a lot of really cool things, and I'm trying to apply them to this build and to this boat. And honestly, once it's done, we're going to be taking this boat out and doing things with it too, and filming on that as well. So that's going to be it for now, guys. So if you haven't, like the video, subscribe, hit the little bell, and you'll be notified every time I upload, and there'll be a lot more coming because we just took a big step forward and we're looking forward to more. All right, guys, see you later.